Well, thanks for taking a minute to hear a little bit about what might be next for those of you that have done what is a 40-day campaign. I remember when I first pulled the camera up on the worship center stage and filmed the book of James with Rick on a video camera. Our whole goal was to be able to try to get more leaders as the small group pastor at Saddleback for 6 years, and then at Willow Creek before that learned a lot about small groups. But the killer app of doing video based off senior pastor's teaching, had no idea it was going to take off and emerge to be what is the Purpose-Driven Life video curriculum and the 40 Days of Purpose campaign. And I had the privilege of coaching a lot of the first 29 churches that were doing the 40 Days of Purpose campaign, and there's well over 30,000 that have done that. So if you're one of those churches, congrats. You know the upside of being able to do a church-wide campaign in your church. And for those of you that have done just the 40 Days of Purpose, there's a number of things that I would recommend that you consider as a next step. First and foremost, I'd say same song, second verse. If you did a 40-day campaign, you could come back and do it 2, 3, 4, 5 years later and not get quite the buzz that you got before. It is still ridiculously higher than something that you might have got in the past. And then Rick has redone 40 Days of Purpose in a new and kind of a new edition if you did it on the early days. Second is to do any of the other kind of campaigns. 40 Days of Community is the most popular one that was done afterwards, but 40 Days of Transformation, 40 Days of Prayer is the latest one, and 40 Days in the Word, in my opinion, is one of the best ones. I'm a little biased, I feel, just because it was one that we went through in our small group that really impacted, myself. But with Rick, he really has the benefit of being able to understand pastors and churches to help you. The other thing, and by the way, here is 40 Days of Prayer. My wife and I have been in the privilege of being in a group with Rick and Kay for about 15 years. We're going through this one ourselves. Kind of fun having him in the room where we're kind of going through it. But 40 Days of Prayer is one that you ought to consider doing if you haven't. The other thing is to be able to do your own custom edition of any of the 40 Days campaigns. For years, Purpose Driven has encouraged, use the book, but you can, on the same song, second verse or later, videotape your pastor, capture some testimonies from your congregation, and put some leadership training on there with your leaders. Your people will respond better to your teaching than anybody other, probably than Rick Warren or Bill Hybels, or you take a few of those folks because they come every single Sunday. They want to hear from you. But to do a custom edition with your teaching, with teaching from your pastor, testimonies from your people, and training from your leaders is a killer app. We've been doing this for churches for a long time, where we'll swoop in and produce a series like that with a bunch of testimonies in an I am second kind of a format that's just beautiful. That may be something that you want to consider doing. The next one is do your own custom campaign. That is the next opportunity for many of you to take any of your past sermon series or upcoming sermon series, kind of redo them, but then do a beautiful production that might be your people again and could be on your campus with your team shooting it, etc. Is a great opportunity for you guys to be able to do something like that in a variety of formats, because you'll have close to the same response that you had with your first 40 Days of Purpose, as hard as it is to believe, especially if you consider adding what is a curriculum that isn't just a downloadable black and white, but add full color pictures, add what is a magazine style format that has lots of faces of the people of the life, work, and ministry of your local church. And as people kind of have that high school yearbook feel that they want to see it, they want to participate in it because it's their people. You'd be surprised at the response to something like that. And you could do it as simple as doing it on an iPhone, or you could do it on cinema quality cameras that are way more advanced. The first series that I shot with Rick was a single camera on the stage, him sitting in a chair, and I dragged a plant behind him, plastic plant, to add a little production value. These days, we're doing very fancy productions for local churches that are like in a town hall fashion, senior pastor sitting center stage with a very dramatic, engaging conversation with people, that it could be a great opportunity for you, where we'd love to be able to partner with you. The other thing you could do is kind of take your small group stuff to kind of the next level. What we're doing at Lifetogether is helping with 5 things. First and foremost, and kind of a coaching and consulting partnership with these churches. Number one is we're we're helping to coach them in a way that might take their small group ministry to the next level, where we could help you connect 75 to 125% of your average adult attendance in groups over the course of 6 months to 12 months. Next is to be able to help catalyze an unlimited number of leaders with a variety of proven strategies that we use. Next is cultivate what is disciples who are making disciples. So you get that spiritual reproduction of knowing that Jesus said not just be, but make a disciple. Now we're going after the 80% of the congregation that hasn't taken that step. The next one is we coach you on how to train your leaders and sustain your groups. And so this particular one is one thing to start a bunch of groups, another thing to sustain them with some proven models that we've been using to be able to help you with that. The next one is to be able to create what is video curriculum and what is church-wide campaigns that are custom. To custom build church-wide campaigns and video curriculum that uses your guys and gear, your toys and your team. We certainly could help do a full service production in a train the trainer or something like that. But the bottom line is this is something that you can do on your own, where we could coach you from afar, or we could be on site doing full service or something certainly in between. The last one is to champion a new model on how to do community through community. And so that's the next kind of gen of what you could do at your church should you want to kind of consider discovering what it means to be able to reach community, not just connect your congregation. Big differential in the topic. Last thing I want to tell you about is something I'm going to call the next step strategy. Something that for years after running class, I wanted to be able to produce something that might take things to the next level for your congregation. Because I did class before, I ran the class model, but I was able to get 90% of the people that came to class when I first got there really came right from the weekend. 10% or so were pushed by a group. Now it's almost completely inverted, where you've got 60, 70, 80%, in some cases 90%, depending on the season, where they're being pushed from being in a small group first because of the campaign strategy that Rick is using. But I've always wanted to try to figure out how to onboard people sooner. Because they come in on any given Sunday, you want to figure out how to get them into their next step. So what we've done is develop what is kind of a plug and play 4-volume, 4-set curriculum, 4 sessions each, that you could actually connect people almost right away on any given Sunday. And then this could be used after class as a model to take people deeper in the purposes, where you could kind of sign them up to take them and get them all into groups. So it is a killer small group strategy. It is a killer assimilation strategy, and it's a great way to deepen the 5 purposes pre-class or post-class, or in addition as a complement to class. But it's designed for someone to walk out on a weekend sermon and to be able to pick up any one of these 4 volumes. Now let me tell you the 4 volumes. The 4 volumes are based off what every pastor wants their people to do, and the 4 primary things that people want to do as considered next step in a church. The first one is connect, so that you might be able to get connected. So it is a plug and play curriculum, DVD and study guide with custom teaching from your pastor, testimonies from your people, training from your leaders that you actually might be able to just go and have them lead. They could gather some of the friends that brought them, some of the people that they brought, or some friends, family, neighbors, etc., that they feel like would benefit from a circle of friends wanting to grow in their spiritual walk with God. The bottom line is just you want to grow. But the heart of it is they're ready to get connected and to get going. And this is a plug and play small group starter series. Second is a series on serving. They may not be ready to serve. May not be ready to connect, but they're ready to go ahead and pick up a shovel or grab bulletins or something to be able to kind of find out their next step. With service, what we're doing is this series is about discovering, deploying, and developing your gifts for life. And so it's about getting people to understand their first step of their unique shape for ministry, and then ultimately to be able to take it the next level. So there's the next one on serving. The other one is belong. So belong is kind of, belonging to kind of a church family. That's why this could be right off a newcomer's reception or some sort of a walk into a connection room, or if you're doing the strategy at your church that is more the growth track like Chris Hodges is doing, or just whatever assimilation thing. This series on belonging could be a chance for them to understand you belong first to God, you belong to one another, you belong to a church family, etc. So this one is kind of plug and play as well. That could be led by a sponsored leader, or could be done in a centralized class, or could be catalytic and done in a home. So it's connect, serve, belong, and the last one is grow. Grow is when you're ready to pick up your Bible and start digging in. You're ready to take your spiritual journey the next level, next step with your walk with God, with understanding the Bible, the power of prayer, and ultimately what it means to be involved in life-giving worship. Now, you'll see, some of the other things that we have done where we have captured testimonies from a congregation. So what we're doing is wheeling in, we shoot the 4 volumes, 4 sessions all in a day, capture testimonies for this also in a day. Sometimes we'll do that as separate days. But the bottom line is we'll develop what are 4 volumes of curriculum that have a DVD in them that the person could grab the Connect one and start getting connected. They could grab the Grow one and start growing in their walk with God. They could grab the the Belong one and kind of discover what it means to belong to a church family. Or they can grab the Serve one and kind of get going. They discover their gifts and they even serve as a group. All of these things will push them into your formal class process and also take them deeper after your class process if that's the strategy you're using. But this could work plug and play no matter what format that you're doing, whether you are a purpose-driven church and really following that particular model, or if you're doing a Willow-style church or an Ark church or other church planting models, whether it be Southern Baptist or Methodist, whatever. You're all trying to figure out how to get them connected once they walk out of the weekend service. So when they're motivated and they just get there, let's go ahead and get them connected. The other thing people are doing is taking and doing a complete alignment with this over 16 weeks. So they do 4 weeks on each functionally of the purposes to be able to then have them kind of go through an entire track. But it is teaching by your people, teaching by your pastor, testimonies by your people, and training from your leaders. And these are just kind of plug and play. These are designed to be fully customized with your pastor's picture on the back, with a welcome from your senior pastor. All the promos that play on the weekend are just plug and play, designed uniquely for your congregation to be able to have an assimilation strategy that is really a next step series. Or some of the churches are calling it conversation series, just kind of get the conversation going. And it's designed to be just, kind of pick and pack or plug and play, not pick and pack, where you could just grab it, gather with a friend, and start growing. Just grab, gather, and grow. Any one of the 4 series on any given Sunday, any time, time of the year. And so it's designed to be very organic and viral to complement what is the organized model that we're kind of saying of what is, coming to the centralized class model whenever you are doing that. So this is a complementary, not a competitive, but a great next step for some of you that have done, that are doing a purpose-driven church. So just thought I'd give you a couple of different next steps that you could consider. To the degree that any of this is interests you, feel free to give us a call. We'd love to do kind of a free consultation on how we're doing what we're doing and what it looks like and when we might be able to do it. We're right now in kind of a pilot mode because we have done a half a dozen of these. We're looking to be able to get the next kind of half a dozen because we're sharing some of the testimonies between the different churches, believe it or not, so that you can have weekly video Bible study for each of the 4 volumes, 4 sessions, but daily video devos. So we're shooting it kind of an I am second, really cool kind of a testimonial format that could go, we can pick and pack them in that sense, which testimonies that you want to do for your daily. So to the degree that you're interested, we're offering a little bit more of a aggressive opportunity so that we could get all dozen of them in the can from straight across the board of all denominationals, and geographic regions, etc. So a little longer than I was thinking, but hopefully it gives you enough of what you might do on the backside of 40 Days Purpose. Having the privilege of serving on the staff at Saddleback on and off for about a decade, it was just a great run for me to be able to learn what it means to take the purposes, not just off the purpose-driven church off the weekend, but into the small group setting and ultimately in the heart and life of every one of the individuals in the church. So taking it down to that granular form and wrapping it around what is these 4 volumes helps to deepen those purposes for any church with a fully customized opportunity. Anyway, thanks again. Look forward to connecting with you soon. Brad.